This was working fine. God damn it. Where'd you go? Wait. There you are. Okay. I don't know why that didn't show up before. Everybody who's a member, send the tech emoji in the chat.
Rhino's doing everything in his power to increase engagement.
Yeah. I have to get better at that.
Let him cook.
You know what? I hear other, like, the podcasts that I listen to, I hear them promoting themselves and like, oh, you gotta sign up on Patreon, and they'll have like these long spiels about why you gotta sign up for Patreon and hear the benefits, and like they'll interrupt their own shows with these things asking for patrons, and I'm just like, I don't know that I could do that. I don't know. I have trouble with that. And like clearly it works, because like they're doing well, they're doing okay.
So what I've gotten to the point is like, I think for me, I've got the advantage of having the fan art section in videos, where like, because I have that little segment of time that always has to be dedicated to, this is the 1 minute that, you know, people who send in fan art get of me talking about their stuff. It's really easy for me to go, oh, and every time I'm done with that, I say subscribe, bell notification icon, Patreon. I say all that afterwards. And it's like, it's programmed in my head, but I know that there was a brief time where I had stopped doing the fan art section because I went to doing a face cam all the time. And so I couldn't figure out a way to do it easily that felt natural. And as a result, I also forgot every other plug I would normally do, because it's so programmed into me from when I was doing edited content that no, that comes after the fan art section. When I don't have that, it's like my signpost is missing.
Yeah. Speaking of fan art section, if you join my Discord, I have a fan art section in there. So all of the Suris artist people that like to do fan art stuff, you can throw that in the Discord.
All the weird people who draw
is in the doodly doo.
Weird things with me and Rhino together.
I like the. I know you. Okay. So this is, I wonder with you sometimes how much of your annoyance with this sort of stuff is just you putting on an act because that's what's expected of you. Because like, I see people doing stuff like that and I'm like, that's cool. I like it. Like, I can't fathom being like, oh, I can't believe you did that. Ah! Like,
I think it's, so for me, it's like there's fan art that I look at and I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. And then there's fan art that's me like rimming you with a string bikini. And I'm like, that's
also cool.
That's different.
That was a good, okay, that was a good piece of art. They put skill into that. They spent potentially hours of their life perfecting the details on that. They did a great job doing it.
I'm not saying that there isn't skill.
That's not necessarily the position
Rhino,
that I want to see
hired.
an art of myself in, but like, they put a lot of effort into that, and it was good artwork. Like,
the person who did that one, I ended up hiring and paying money for them to do animations on my channel.
There you go.
Because they are a good artist and they did good work.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the art for what it is.
There's still a part of me that just I'm just scrolling through Twitter and I'm just like, oh, there's me fucking myself with a jelly dick. Okay.
And if you want to draw me as a jelly dick fucking Suris, go ahead and drop that in my fan art section. I don't know. Does Discord have safeties for that?
Discord has safeties for that. They'll hit you with a like, this is inappropriate, but what I've figured out to do for stuff like that is that like, hey, if you want to have something NSFW and you throw it on like Twitter or Tumblr or anything, you want to send me the link, I'll at least know it exists. Whether or not I can put it in the fan art section is another question entirely.
Okay. Okay, so maybe don't throw that in Discord.
I did use actually one of those porn pictures recently for a thumbnail. One of my thumbnail artists used it for a thumbnail because Dennis Prager was talking about hentai.
Nice.
I was like, this is a perfect video for this. This is amazing.
Okay. Third news item. Atheist group. Okay, so I took this is from the Christian Post. So...
Oh, so we're going to get their perspective.
Well, here's the thing, though, is the reason I chose this one is because I think they're being insidious with this one. Because, like, the headline, atheist group demands South Carolina school districts stop praying at board meetings. Like, that's an inflammatory headline. You read the first line, says, a prominent atheist organization is again demanding that a South Carolina school district halt its practice of opening official meetings with prayers from board members. And then the second paragraph, the Freedom from Religion Foundation has asked the Somerville-based Dorchester School District to discontinue its practice of allowing school board members to open its meetings with Christian prayers. So, like, that's basically as far in as most people read. So you get the inflammatory headline, you get the inflammatory first sentence, and then just kind of
the details.
A factual, detailed third sentence. Fine. When you actually, like, read the article, it's like boring and level and middle of the road and just, like, normal reporting. Like, they quote the FFRF staff saying, like, board members are free to pray privately or to worship in their own time in their own way. However, the board ought not to lend its power and prestige to religion or to coerce attendees into participating in religious exercises. That makes perfect sense. That is excellent. That is the atheist point. That is all we want. Don't coerce people that don't agree with your religion to do your religious shit.
Yeah, don't do the whole, like, all right, everybody, let's bow our heads in prayer. And in what?
Yeah, and then they get the co-president of the FFRF. They quote her statement saying the school board should strive to be inclusive instead of indulging in exclusionary practices. So, like, yeah, don't exclude people who aren't the same religion as you because you are doing this overt thing that matches your religion. The school board exists to oversee a secular public school system that must be welcoming to all students and parents of every religion and of no religion. Perfectly reasonable. And this is the stuff that they're quoting, but nobody reads this far. They just read the inflammatory first couple sentences.
Yup.
And the invocations start the open portions of the board meetings are not within the legislative prayer traditions that allow certain types of prayer to open legislative sessions. So that's where the, I guess, Congress opens with prayer or something, and so that's the tradition that they're referring to. But, like, this doesn't fall within that, which Congress shouldn't fall with it. There shouldn't be the tradition of opening legislative sessions with prayer. I think that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, because, like, I can understand taking, say, a moment of silence. That way, everybody can do what they want to do privately in that time.
Sure.
It's up to them.
If you think that praying before you start your job or whatever is important, then sure, you should be allowed to take a moment of silent prayer or reflection or meditation or whatever the fuck you want, and that's fine. I got no problem with that.
But when you start going, all right, everybody, we're going to pray, and also we're praying specifically to this particular God and doing it in this particular way, I start having problems at that point, because we're not in church. I did not consent to this if I did not go to a fucking church.
Yeah. And then what I found interesting was if you scroll down to the comments of that one, we get William saying, always a small handful of atheists from somewhere else complaining about this. Those same people couldn't find this town without looking at a map first. Okay, the reason FFRF knows about this is because somebody who lives in that small town and was at that meeting complained about it. And so even so, it's a small percentage of people. So what? That's like, isn't the Republican thing supposed to be all against the tyranny of the minority?
Yeah.
Like, you're not, just because they're a minority doesn't mean you get to oppress them.
But don't they always say the whole, like, we shouldn't have to kowtow to the minority if we're the majority? And, like, it's not kowtowing, it's asking everybody to be treated equally. If you get to go, but 80% of us are Christian, so we're going to have a prayer, then you're making other people kowtow. If nobody has to do anything, then everybody's more equal.
So Taz says the article said the atheist group heard from a local the prayers were resumed last year. It wasn't a known until they were told and then thought they needed to become offended. The people that are upset don't even go to the meeting. So what is their reasoning outside of their disdain for God? It's like, but they heard from a local. It was the person that was at the meeting that got upset. That was like, hey, FFRF is an advocacy organization. Can you help me? I am upset by this thing. The FFRF didn't decide to get upset. They decided to help someone who was upset. And, like, even if there wasn't anyone upset by it, the fact that it happens is like it just shouldn't. John, well, finally we got one that someone reasonable, but would it be okay if they started each session with a Muslim prayer? No, that wouldn't be okay. That would be equally as not okay as starting with a Christian prayer.
You should,
because if you start with a Muslim prayer, that's exclusionary to the Christians. You start with a Christian prayer, that's exclusionary to the Muslims. Are Muslims a majority in the country? No. Does it matter? No. They have the same rights as everybody else.
This is why my brain always goes into retaliatory mode, where I start trying to figure out, like, what's the way to do the thing that they want done, but just
malicious compliance.
Yeah, but just slip under the radar, just maliciously comply. And it's like, oh yeah, just LARP being Christian until they let you be the one who leads the Congress in prayer, and then when you lead them in prayer, it's to bail.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to get up in an uproar, but you played by the rules. You did everything correctly. It's them who, like, if they didn't want the game to be played by those rules, they should have written the rules differently.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, that's it for that one. Let's get on to some tweets, shall we?
No, I refuse. God, why do we have to begin with bananas?
It's Ray Comfort.
You can't very far. Bananas up there.
Okay. So Ray Comfort says, the agenda of the enemy is to break down the biblical standards of morality, and in human beings he has more than willing helpers. So yeah, the agenda of the enemy is to break down the standards of morality that allow for slavery, treat women as property, rape as a property crime against not the woman but the father or husband of the woman.
If you live with an abuser, if they're Christian, it's okay.
Children should be executed for disobeying their parents.
Happy are those that dash their children's brains on the sidewalk.
Oh, that was a psalm. Though,
oh, sorry,
Suris.
It was somebody else's. But wait, Rhino, that passage is 2 times in the Bible. Once as a psalm and once elsewhere as not a psalm.
Well, I don't recall there being a happy as he who dashed the children against the rocks being outside the Psalms. However, there is a proverb saying that, basically, spare the rod, spoil the child isn't directly a proverb, but it is very closely based on a proverb. So yeah, child abuse is advocated for in the Bible. Yeah. No, you know what? If the enemy is happy to break down these heinous standards of morality, then I'm gonna have to side with your enemy, right? Devil seems like a good guy.
And there's Christians who get pissed off when you say that, but it's like, if we tally up the things that are being allowed, just from a raw reading of the Bible with no hyperbolization or like, this one's actually poetic, this one's actually metaphor, this one's actually just a small parable, it doesn't mean anything. If you just have the raw meaning pulled out, Bible says some pretty heinous shit. Maybe we don't want that.
Well, here's the thing. You can excuse it by saying, when Jesus said to bring my enemies before me and slaughter them. That was in a parable, so he was not speaking literally. However, the thing about parables is you can make them whatever the fuck you want. You could have chosen to not make it violent language that says you're supposed to, kill non-Christians. But, you chose not to. And if Jesus is God, he knows everything. He knew that him saying that would cause people in the future to then kill people in his name because Jesus said to bring my enemies before me and slaughter them.
And if the argument is going to be, no, that wasn't the intention, how could anybody have known?
But he could have chosen to use words. He could have chosen to use words that wouldn't lead to that. And yeah, he's not the author of confusion. Bullshit.
If you didn't want people to get confused by the things you said, maybe you should have spoke with perfect clarity.
Maybe. That would have been nice. Okay. Gary M. Parcel. Okay.
I don't know this one, actually.
So, I'm fairly confident that this guy's just a troll. But I thought this one was funny enough that I decided to include it anyway. But, I was going through his thing, and if he's not a troll, he's abusive as fuck towards his wife. But, he advertises these books that he's written, but I can't find anywhere to buy the books. And he his banner on his Twitter profile is order this book now, but there's no link for where to order it, and when you Google it, you can't find it. His profile picture, when you actually enlarge it, it looks like it was made by AI. So and he just joined in August, so he just joined Twitter in this month. Who the fuck is joining Twitter right now? Ain't nobody joining Twitter right now.
Joining Twitter and then immediately paying for Twitter Blue.
Yeah, so like, I am 95% certain that this guy's just a troll, but this one was funny, so I kept it. It says, "Wives, if you are married and still maintaining deep friendship with other women, watch out. The threat of lesbianism when your husband may not be acting the way you want is palpable. Don't let the threat of another woman into your marriage."
Wait a minute, hold on. So women can't be friends with other men because there's a chance they'll fuck them. Women can't be friends with other women because there's
also a chance that they'll fuck them.
So women just can't have friends.
Yes.
Isolate your partners.
Yes.
They are not allowed to go. They're not allowed to have friends. They're not. If you have a board game night, keep them locked in their room.
This is why I say that, like, he is like, and it's not an allegedly abusive. It's not a maybe he's abusive. He says things like, "My wife doesn't have a cell phone. If somebody wants to get a hold of her, they can go through me. There are no clocks in my house. I'm the only one with a watch. So if anybody needs to know the time, they have to go through me. Husbands should do the grocery shopping because wives' place is in the home, not outside of the home. There's a chance for them to sin if they're grocery shopping."
They'll sin by grabbing the chuck roast ground beef instead of the 73% ground beef, and that made me spend an extra set of dollars, and that makes me angry.
I know people like that really do exist, but like the idea that one of them could be so public about it and not feel shame for it, makes me think that this guy is like that adds to the, like, I want to believe that he's a troll because I don't want to believe that a person that is this unashamed of that behavior exists. But also, there's a lot of evidence that he's just a troll.
Guess we'll see.
But, you know, the fact that he's worried about his wife leaving him for a woman made me chuckle.
Fennec says, "This is some blessed be the fruit ass shit."
Yeah. Fennec said something similar in my chat. Just said, "Blessed be the fruit." Case Orbs.
Hey, he's back!
He says, "Political polls make me laugh. The latest says that 25% say that Biden has improved the economy. Who are these people? Maybe the people that have looked at the economy numbers?"
Okay, so like, the only reason the economy looks worse for you is you can't find work.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, there is debate over whether Biden's policies are what have made the economy good right now or whether it's something else, but it is undeniable that the economy right now is better than it was under Trump. Like, yeah, there are some things that are more expensive, like gas and certain groceries, but like, overall, like, employment is up, unemployment is down, average income is up.
Gas being higher also makes sense because the war in Ukraine is still raging.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, like,
I
mean, an argument could be made that if Trump was still president, there wouldn't be a war in Ukraine, but the reason there wouldn't be a war in Ukraine is because Putin would just have like a more powerful puppet to play with Trump.
It's like
that's not a good thing. Oh, did you hear about the guy who? Did you hear about?
He wants to surrender Ukraine to Putin, and then surrender Taiwan to China the minute that they aren't making our microprocessors.
Because he loves dictators. Because he wants to be one. He idolizes them. But yeah, no, this reminds me. I wanted to kind of like, the news was kind of breaking while I was still setting up, and I didn't want to like change all my stories out for it. Plus, I don't know all the geopolitical details, so I didn't want to screw stuff up. But the guy who led the coup in Russia recently, the head of the mercenary group or whatever that led the coup, he died in a plane crash today.
Plane crash, quote unquote.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sure it was a plane crash. It's just a question of whether the plane crashed because it was a plane crash or whether the plane crashed because, you know, somebody pulled a trigger somewhere.
Is anybody... You just have the guy that gets up, "All right, who here has pilot training?" 3 people raise their hand, 3 shots ring out. "All right, good. How many parachutes are there?" "There's 5. 4 shots ring out. Now there's 1.
Yeah, so...
Crash.
Whatever.
Species in my chat just goes crash, wink, wink.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah. The economy is better, is what I'm basically saying. It's better under Biden. whether it's directly because of Biden's actions is debatable, but like, you know, you like whatever accomplishments Trump had were definitely not because of him. Like, it was like he dumb lucked his way into a couple good things, but like most of the numbers were bad under him.
That's kind of how it normally is when Republicans get in office here. It's really weird.
Yeah, he's pretty reliable in that as well for the last like 50 years or so.
And it turns out that, you know, 50 years ago, a little over 50 years ago, the Southern strategy happened. So that checks out.
Funny that.
So weird how that worked out.
Yeah.
Everything started changing with Nixon and Reagan. Gee,
Yeah.
you
So you
think?
get another case orb says porn keeps men docile. That's why America refuses to ban OnlyFans. Like, I mean, they could just refuse to ban them because of like the First Amendment. Because like I feel like that's a freedom of speech kind of thing. Freedom of expression.
It is a freedom of expression kind of thing, but also I don't think porn keeps men docile. I'm actually fairly certain that some of the people who have gone on the worst tirades against particular groups happen to have a porn search history that includes the groups they hate.
Yeah.
I don't think porn actually keeps guys docile.
Well, I mean, an argument could be made because, like, violent sexual crime rates did... Excuse me. The rates of violent sexual crimes did drop around 1994 when the internet started happening. And, like, it dropped pretty consistently with ease of access to the internet. So, like, there is something to be said for, you know, men who have aggressive sexual tendencies don't express those tendencies in criminal ways when they have easy access to legal ways to express them. But like, I mean, that's not an argument for banning OnlyFans.
That's an argument for for having a government stipend for OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's an argument, like free porn for all. You get $50 a month to spend on OnlyFans. Choose your creators.
I actually think this is a good policy. We should advocate for this.
I'm totally on board with that. 100%.
I'm not doing this just because my partner has an OnlyFans, I swear. Ingester says, how dare you show me this smut? How dare the internet algorithm recommend me this filth based on my previous viewing habits?
Yeah. Donald J. Trump is back. He says, rather than releasing the report on the rigged and stolen Georgia... Okay, so this was with regards to... He said he had irrefutable evidence that the Georgia election was stolen that he was going to release publicly in a press conference. And everybody was like, that sounds like a really bad idea, because we know if you actually had evidence, you would have presented it by now.
You would have used it when you were worried.
It was just going to be a press conference where he was just going to be like, oh yeah, these people that I like, all the indictments say that I'm talking shit about, I'm going to talk more shit about them. And so this is basically, I feel like this is his lawyers finally like getting some control over him. He says, my lawyers would prefer putting this, I believe, irrefutable and overwhelming evidence of election fraud and irregularities in formal legal filings as we fight to dismiss the disgraceful indictment by a public
that sounds like what you should have done the first fucking time.
Yeah, no, if you actually had that, you just that's your response to the indictment. Is you like, here's my court application saying like, here's my irrefutable evidence or whatever, and then it still goes before a judge, and there still needs to be like a weighing of the evidence. And like, if you're going to a trial by jury, great. If you have irrefutable evidence, you present it at the trial, and the jury says, oh, that was irrefutable evidence, not guilty. But yeah, I can guarantee. Evidence? Well, I mean, Mike Lindell has like 2 documentaries called like Absolute Proof and Definitive Proof or some shit. I don't know, whatever. But his Absolute Proof was like, he took a screenshot of like a flight map of like all the planes, all the flight routes or whatever in the world, and was like, see, you can like these arrows, they don't represent airplanes, they represent votes going out of the states and being flipped in this country over here and then coming back. So
What?
that was his. That was. Have you not seen that?
No, I haven't.
There's a moment in that documentary where he's got a voice modulator on because the person he's interviewing wants to remain anonymous, and they don't know how to do a voice modulator on just one microphone, so they do it on everybody, and he farts into the voice modulator. So you have a voice modulated fart in this documentary.
And nobody thought to cut that out in post?
No, they don't do that. They don't do cuts. Well, I mean, okay, no, there were a couple spots where his lawyers definitely came in and were like, nope, don't talk about Dominion. Don't talk about Dominion. But, yeah, no, they don't cut things, largely.
Why?
I don't know, because he's inept.
I
He runs his business. He runs his multi-billion-dollar business worse than I run my Twitter stream that I've made $30 on so far.
Rhino hasn't made enough money on the stream, guys. You should give more money to Rhino.
Yeah, if you give me more money, I'll be more competent. No promises.
There might be some competency that is earned as a result, maybe.
No, you need to just go to the Ontario College of YouTubers and report me so that they send me to streaming rehabilitation camp or
Streaming
whatever.
therapy?
Yeah. So I learned how to be competent.
You can learn to be a better streamer.
Yeah, you know what? My kids go to a school that they run programs that they'll get like people that are local to like come in and do like basic like here's the basics of this profession for all the kids. And because like streaming and YouTubing and stuff is actually becoming kind of a mainstream profession, like it was suggested that like, oh, maybe I could come in and run one of those things. And I'm like, I just wing it. Yeah,
But that's the thing.
That's all I do.
Most YouTubers just wing it. Most of them do, and we're very good at winging it.
Yeah, it's the ones who happen to win the charisma lottery that make it big. Like, I'm sure if I was better at like reading statistics, I might be able to like my channel would grow a little faster than it does now. But like right now, I don't look at my analytics. Every now and then I'll pop in and be like, I wonder what this means. But like, there are companies that, like, there are YouTube companies that like they have people whose full-time job is to look at the analytics and be like, what does the YouTube algorithm want now? I'm like, I don't know what it wants. This is what I want to cover.
Yeah, that's basically what most of us do. We just like a thing, and so we talk about the thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next up, we got Wendell. Wendell was the main character on Twitter, on Atheist Twitter, for a little while. I didn't get the one that everybody was responding to, but he had a syllogism that was like, premise 1, if God exists, then atheism is false. Premise 2, God exists. Conclusion, therefore atheism is false. Actually, I might have gotten that one. So let's just do this one first. So he says, so this guy, Nikolaus, says, like, he was responding to a different thing in the thread. He's talking about like radiometric dating. I mean, like, you know, we have rocks that are dated to billions of years old, so the Earth can't be younger than that. And Wendell responds with, and 3 weeks ago, all the scientists said the universe was 13 billion years old, but now they claim it's 26 billion years old. But sure, those dating tools are great. There's a lot wrong with the statement.
For one, we're not using dating tools to tell the age of the universe. We're dating rocks on Earth.
Yeah, no, it's not radiometric dating that tells us the age of the universe. That's point number one. Is that
most of that just comes from analyzing red and blue shifts.
Completely different things. Point number 2, it's not that scientists are saying that the universe is 26 billion years old now. It's that one paper was published that said, hey, if we completely throw out the standard model that everybody uses right now and we use my model instead, then the universe is 26 billion years old. So like, this is very preliminary. The guy's got a lot of work to do if he wants anyone to take him seriously. It just made a big headline. It's like, oh, scientist discovers that the universe is twice as old as we thought, is a better headline than scientist might have figured something out.
Possibly.
If he does a bunch of work in the future. And it's just like it's complete speculation at the moment, basically.
Yeah, it's So I haven't actually seen this paper yet. I haven't seen what methodology was used. I haven't read it. I actually don't know anything about it. But if the way you're describing it is accurate, then at least he's got part of the way that creation science works down. If we just throw out all the known ways to do this and we use mine, then we get different numbers.
Neuromdiput says crackpot suggests throwing out standard model is probably the correct headline. I might not be giving it a fair shake with this. Like, I've only read like one article on it, and it was not very thorough and in-depth or whatever. So like, I might be treating it a bit unfairly. Like, maybe there's more to it than that. But like, no matter what, it could be the most robust thing in the world. It's got a lot of work to do before it'll actually change the consensus on the age of the universe.
Also, just going to point out that Wendell here seems to be under the strange idea that all scientists believe the exact same thing 100% of the time and never challenge each other on their own findings.
Yeah. So Regios sent a tip and said, "Come for the tweets and get free tech issues to ponder over." LOL.
Yeah.
That's my stream. All the members send a tech in the chat. Everybody who's not a member, become a member so you can send tech in the chat.
So I'm surprised I haven't actually found Wendell yet on
Have you not?
Twitter. No, I haven't.
Okay, so this was the famous one.
But I have seen this one.
Yes.
I have seen... Never mind, I have seen him.
Okay. Yeah, so he says, if God exists, then atheism is false. God exists, therefore atheism is false. He says, if you object to this argument, then please state which premise and why. The burden of proof is on you.
This is
premise two.
This is a way to just try to throw the burden of proof onto people who aren't making claims. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's he thinks he's being very clever.
Oh, he does.
He's just like, I can't satisfy the burden of proof myself, but if I just say it in this way, then maybe the burden of proof will be on someone else. Like, no, I would say that premise two
is an assumed conclusion.
Yeah, premise two is an assumed conclusion. Premise two is being delivered as if it were an axiom.
Yeah.
But premise two is too weighty to be an axiom or a brute fact. So premise two needs to be substantiated. If premise two cannot be substantiated, then you're fucked.
To be fair, this is a... I got valid and sound mixed up. I want to say this is a sound argument, but is not valid?
If memories...
One, okay, I get them mixed up, but like sound and valid, one of them are like, if all of these premises are actually true, then yes, the conclusion follows. Whereas the other one is like...
So valid arguments can have false conclusions. Okay. A sound argument is where it's valid. It has to be valid, but it begins with premises that are actually true. So this isn't sound.
So this is a valid argument, but it's not a sound argument. Because
one of the premises is false. Potentially.
Well, one of the premises is just assumed to be true for the sake of the argument. And it's like, okay, support premise 2. Like, if you object to the argument, then please state which premise and why. I object to premise 2 because you snuck the conclusion, and that's called begging the question. That's a logical fallacy. So please demonstrate, please support premise 2. Figure out how you can demonstrate premise 2, and then, yes, this argument would be both sound and valid if you can demonstrate premise 2, which you cannot. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to make this argument.
Yeah. If God exists, atheism is false. God exists. Wait, hold on. But how many carts are being put before the horse here? At least 3.
Yeah.
I can see why this just went viral.
This is just like a definition. He defined atheism as being false, therefore he wins. And that's it.
Hey, we're back to Ray.
We're back to Ray. No, we're done. We're done for the night.
Hey, there weren't that many tweets this time.
There weren't. I suspected that the news articles might run long, and then me forgetting to push the button didn't help.
Hey,
So-
it was fine.
So
It was fine.
I didn't choose as many tweets as normal.
Fair. That is fair.
All right. So thanks for joining me. Everybody remember Discord link is in the description. Members get emojis. Send me money because I'm greedy. No, I'm not greedy. I've got 5 kids that need to eat.
They're the greedy ones.
They are the greedy ones. Oh, okay. And as always, fuck off.